Hey, boys and girls, we are on page 30, and what we're going to be doing is starting with a graph and then making a function table and then writing the equation. So we're actually going backwards here because last time we were writing the equations using function tables. We were also making graphs using equations. So this time we're going to start with the graph, and then we're going to use the graph to create a function table and then write an equation. So first off, let's check out this little graph here. It says cactus height. Cactus height. And we see here at the bottom this is the input, of course. This is the x value. This is the input, is years of growth. And the output is the height. So let's make first the function table. Let's see how we're going to do that. So let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay. So the input, again, is the x values, or the x values here. So if you look along the input, or the x-axis here, we can see that the x values are 1, 2, and 3. Those have values on them, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3. So this is the number of years. Just put years above that. And the output is the height. So let's see what the output values are for each input. So if the input's 1, it looks like the output is 42. After 2 years, looks like the input is 44. 3 years, the input would be 46. Okay. So after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, we can see the height of that cactus. It appears to be going up 2 inches every year. So to make the equation, we are going to, we'll start with the total. This is like the total right here. The y is the output. That's kind of like the total. So for our equation, we'll start with the y. Y equals. Now we have to find the rule. How do you get from the input to the output? Well, you can't multiply by 42 or add 41. Those aren't going to work. It's not a one-step, so it's probably a two-step. So if it's a two-step function, let's see how these change. That might give us a clue. So it looks like we're going to multiply by 2 because these are going up by 2. We'll multiply by 2, and then we'll see what we'll add. So we know to multiply by 2, though, because the outputs are going up by 2. 2 times 1 is 2. How do we get to 40? 2. Well, we'd have to add 40. So it looks to be times 2 plus 40. Let's see if that works. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 40 is 44. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 40 is 46. So it appears to be, if we multiply the number of years by 2, so 2 times x, and then we add 40, that would give us the total, or the height. So let's think about what this equation means. We're just going to label this, because when you label it, it helps to kind of think about what each part would be equal to. Y, of course, is the height of the cactus. The x, of course, and we've already labeled it, x is years. Now we have to think about the numbers. What do the numbers mean? What does the 2 mean? So if you look here at the table here, this is going up by 2. So the 2 means kind of like how much it grows in a year. Inches, or like inches. It grows per year. That would be what the 2 means. So every year it grows 2 inches. And that's why we're multiplying by 2, because the number of years will tell us to multiply by 2. Well, what does the 40 mean? What does the 40 mean? Because if we had 0 years, after 0 years, 0 times 2 would be 0. So after 0 years, how could the cactus be 40 inches tall? So I'm thinking here, this is like the height of the cactus when it's Martino's cactus. Maybe this is the original height of the cactus? Maybe when Martino got it. When Martino got the cactus, it was already 40 inches tall, and then every year it grew 2 inches. That's what I'm thinking. So if you look here, each part of this equation has a role. The numbers have a meaning to them, the variables have a meaning to them, and all, when they come together, will help us find the total height of the cactus. All right. Let's try another one like that. Well, we're going to start with the graph. We're going to make the table. We're going to see what happens. We're going to label that equation just to see what each part means. So here is the graph. This is a book. It's called A Book in Magazines. The graph shows the total amount Y that you spend if you buy one book and X magazines. We don't know how many magazines. But we do know that X, the X-axis, will give us the input, and the Y-axis here will give us the output. So now we can make our function table here. Let's look at this. So notice how good we got that jagged line here. That means we skipped from 0 to 20 and then counted up by 5. So that jagged line just means we skipped a bunch of empty space that there would have been. So this is the amounts to buy one book and X magazines. All right. So let's look at our X numbers here, our X values. This is the input. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, oh boy, that broke. 2, 3, and 4. So this is our input. Oh, you probably can't see that. And then our output is going to go here. That's going to be our total. All right, let's see what happens when we buy one magazine. Let's see how much it costs here. So one magazine, $20. One magazine, $20. Now remember, you're also getting that book too. We just don't know how much the book costs. 2 magazines, $25. So when you buy 2 magazines, the total cost is $25. 3 magazines, cost would be $30. 4 magazines, the cost would be $35. All right, now we have a better idea of what's happening with this function. Now we can start to write the equation. Well, we know that the total is going to be by itself. So the total here is Y, of course. It's the output. That goes by itself. Next, we'll think about what the rule is to get the output. Let's see, these numbers here. Well, let's check first if it's a 1 or 2 step. 1 times 20 is 20, but 2 times 20 is not 25. So you can't multiply. Adding 19 is not going to work. So this appears to be a 2-step function. So let's try to find what the steps are. Well, if you notice, these numbers are going up by 5. So that means we're going to multiply by 5. Let's try that. 1 times 5 is 5. How would we get to 20? We'd have to add 15. So if we multiply by 5 and add 15, let's see if that works. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 15 is 25. That works. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 15 is 30. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 15 is 35. So it appears that you multiply the number of magazines, which is X, by 5, so it would be 5 times X, and then you would add 15. Well, let's think about what each of these means. Well, Y is the total amount or the total cost. I'm just going to write total, and I'll put a $sign. That's the total amount of money you spent. Okay. The X is as we said here, X is magazines. This is number of, I'm just going to abbreviate magazines. So let's think about what the 5 and the 15 are. So if X is the number of magazines, what would 5 be? 5 would be the cost of one magazine. So if you multiply the number of magazines you get by 5, that will give you the cost. This is the cost per magazine. For each magazine costs $5. You'd multiply it by the number of magazines you get. However, what does this 15 mean? What would that 15 mean? Now remember, if you look back up at the problem here, it's if you buy one book and X magazines. So this must be the one book because you're only spending it once. This is the book here. Okay? So Y total amount, cost is 5 per magazine. You multiply it by how many magazines you get. This plus the cost of the book, so the book cost, is going to get you the total cost of what you're spending on magazines and that one book. Interesting. All right, we're going to try one more together, and then I'm going to give you a moment to try one on your own. The one we're going to do together is actually the one about the health club. We're going to skip this mango and cantaloupes because I want you to try. We're going to try that one. I'm going to give you an opportunity to try that one on your own. So we got health club here. This graph shows the charges for a health club for 1 month. Okay, there's the health club. We got X, number of classes. That's the input. And we got Y. This is the output. This is the total charge for the health club for 1 month. So looks like this person is taking some classes. Now, I'm going to put a 0 down here. Looks like zero classes. If you take 0 classes, you're paying $30. That's weird. 0 classes for $30 at the health club. All right. 1 class. Now I know it's hard to read, but this is going to be 38. So 1 class is $38. 2 classes is $46. If you take 2 classes, it'd be $46 total for your month at the health club. 3 classes will be, now it's important that these are all going up by the same number. That's why I'm kind of giving you these numbers here. This 3 would be 54. So these are all going up by the same number, which is what we need. All right, I'm thinking this is going to be a 2-step one because adding 30 is not going to work. Multiplying by 30 is certainly not going to work. So thinking it's going to be a 2-step function. So let's look here. Number of classes, that's the input. Total charge, that's the output. Let's see how these go up. These are going up by 8. So let's try multiplying by 8. 0 times 8 is 0. Plus 30 will get you 30. Let's see if times 8 plus 30 works. 1 times 8 is 8. Plus 30 would be 38. 2 times 8 is 16. Plus 30 would be 40. I'm sorry, 2 times 8 is 16. Plus 30 would be 46. And 3 times 8 is 24. Plus 30. So again, using that trick of like what do the numbers go up by, that will tell you what to multiply by, can be very helpful. So let's write the equation. We got Y is the total, so it's going to go by itself. The key was to multiply the number of classes by 8. So X is the number of classes. We'll multiply that by 8. And then we had to add 30. I wonder what that 30 means. Let's focus on this equation for a second. I'm going to label this thing here. So Y would be the total charge or the total amount cost. Total cost, we'll call that. That's what Y is. What would X be? X is the number of classes. As it said in the table, it said number of classes. Okay. So then what would the 8 be? Number of classes. That seems like every time you added on a new class, it cost $8 more. So it seems like that would be the cost per class. So each class was $8. So if you took 3 classes, you'd multiply by 8. 3 by 8. If you took no classes, you'd multiply 0 by 8. But what is this 30? This is a tricky one because remember, this is a health club. So that 30 might be the membership fee. that you pay at the beginning. Like if you go to the YMCA, if you're a member there, or a gym like that, the classes are extra. So the $30 or however much you pay per month, that's the fee that you pay once per month, no matter what. And then depending on how many classes or separate classes you take, you would multiply that by how much the classes cost. So at this gym or club, you pay $30 a month, then each class you take will cost another $8. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to start you off on this one, the one about the mango and the cantaloupes. I'm going to see if you can finish this one up here. Let's talk about the mango and cantaloupes. Let's see here. Well, first off, I noticed that these variables are incorrect. So cantaloupes, we're going to change that to an X. That was kind of an easy fix. Total cost, though, just do your best to change. That should be a Y. That's not X. So notice that goes with Y. That goes with X. So sorry for that error there. Make sure to correct that. All right. It says the graph shows the total cost Y, total cost is Y, that you spend if you buy one mango and X number of cantaloupes. So I'm going to help you set up the chart, unless you want to pause it and do this whole thing on your own, but I'm going to help you set up the chart and see if you can write the equation. Okay. Cantaloupes. Well, here's our X values, the input and the output. Okay. Right here's our first X value. That's 0. 0 goes in. What comes out would be 1. So if 0 cantaloupes, you spend $1. 1 cantaloupe, you spend $3. 2 cantaloupes, you spend $5. 3 cantaloupes, you spend $7. Okay. Now, what I'd ask you to do is just pause the video for a moment. See if you can use the function table to help you write the equation. Once you've tried to write the equation, just try it. If it's wrong, you can always change it. But just try it on your own, see what you get. This one's actually going to be kind of similar to the book one. Once you've gotten something, just unpause the video and we'll talk about the answer. All right, so take a moment, pause it, try the equation. Okie dokes. Let's see what you got. So for the equation, Y is the total cost. The total is by itself. Y equals. Total is going to be by itself. Let's see. This should be a two-step one because adding 1 is not going to work. Multiplying is not going to work just by itself. So let's see what we have to first multiply by because it's going to be a two-step. What do these go up by? What do these go up by? It looks like these are going up by 2. That means we're going to multiply by 2. So each time you buy a new cantaloupe, the price goes up by 2. So let's multiply by 2. 2 times 0 is 0. Then we'd have to add 1 to get to the output. So maybe times 2 plus 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So it looks like whatever x is, we're going to multiply x by 2, and then we'll add 1 to it. Now the step I do want you to do this with me, if you haven't done so already, is to label it. So if you got this equation, that's awesome. But now we're going to think about what this actually means. So the y, if you look up here, the y, total cost. So that's what, and we want the total by itself. That's the output. That's kind of like the answer, if you want to think of it that way. That's the total cost. We want that alone. X was the number of cantaloupes. So X, number of, and I'm just going to abbreviate it to cant, number of cantaloupes. So what would 2 be? What would 2 be? So if X is the number of cantaloupes, 2 would probably be like how much a cantaloupe costs, or cost per Cantaloupe. So the price of the total cost will change depending on how many cantaloupes you buy. You'd multiply the number of cantaloupes you get by 2 because apparently that's how much they cost. It's a good deal on a cantaloupe, I think. What's the one though? What's the one? Now, if you went up and read the problem again, or even off to the side here, it says write an equation that can be used to find the total cost, y, total cost, if you buy 1 mango and X cantaloupes. That 1 must be the mango because you're only buying the 1 mango, which is why you're not multiplying it by anything because you're only buying 1 of them, not multiple mangoes. You just want the 1. So this 1 is the cost of a mango. Okie dokes. So again, we went backwards. We started with the graph. We made the function table. We wrote the equation. This will help us in the next time we meet because we'll be talking more about writing equations. But we're off to a good start here. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.